From the VR Proud Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jesse Gunkel. We'll talk about a day. 3 named storms officially. It started out early this morning with the 10 o'clock advisory. That's when we got Wilfred, but not in the Gulf. Wilfred was sitting in the Atlantic. Then we got Alpha, which became a subtropical system just off the coast of Portugal. Should be moving inland and weakening very quickly. You can see Wilfred on the bottom of the screen. We're still tracking Teddy out there, which is a major hurricane, a Category 3 with winds at 125 miles per hour, gusts at 155. Again, a massive system out there heading northwest at 14. And right now, Bermuda is currently in the crosshairs. But eventually today, we've got that storm in the southern Gulf, and that became Beta out there. Currently a tropical storm. The center of circulation, again, it's elongated. Most of the thunderstorm activity actually north and east of the system. As you see here, we're running into a little bit of shear, which is kind of stripping it right now from the center of the storm. But overall, again, we're seeing a lot more convection kind of building up on the northern side. Now, again, this is going to be a very slow moving system. And as we all know, that slow-moving systems are terrible in the Gulf, especially this time of the year, over some very warm waters, and especially when it has, well, it's missing that lack of steering. You need that to kind of move systems through quickly. This is definitely going to be a rainmaker for much of the Gulf Coast, from southern Texas into possibly Louisiana and maybe even further eastward at this point. So here's the deal. Right now we got winds at 40, heading north-northeast at 9 miles per hour. As you can see out there, all those thunderstorms kind of bubbling towards the northeastern side. So what we do know, we know it's going to take a northward track, at least for the time being, because of a trough kind of driving it northeast. Now again, that trough is going to kind of weaken a little bit, and as that happens moving into the weekend, you see it starts to take a western turn. That's because we're going to have a ridge build in, and that's what's going to drive it and keep it away from us temporarily, okay? That's going to be, again, the beta blocker. However, long term is that ridge moves to the east, and guess what you see here? As it becomes a Category 1 storm, it starts to make that turn back towards Louisiana. As you see, some time frame between probably late Sunday, most likely Monday now, this system could be a pretty weak Category 1 storm. Again, as you see, a Category 1 with winds sustained at 75 miles per hour, or a very strong tropical storm at this point. We're going to have to keep an eye on the intensity because, again, there is that possibility that that could also change with a very slow-moving system. And as you see, the cone, very large. That includes portions of Mexico, Texas, and Louisiana at this point. So what we're going to be really kind of looking for is a possible concern for us, maybe starting out from Sunday into the end of next week. A lot of rain, obviously multiple bands out there. And you can see again with the current track, some are shifting a little bit further north before making that westward turn. Some are having it happen a little bit sooner because, in fact, we're also having a cold front drive through overnight into early tomorrow. So overall, you can see that turn directly towards the west, towards Texas. Some models push it further inland. Let's hope it goes inland just a little bit because that'll save us slightly because it should weaken. However, if it gets close, there are some very warm waters out there. You got to remember that. So again, it still has the possibility to continue to strengthen along the Texas coastline before heading back towards the northeast. And here's what we're currently watching right now. And I'm going to point it out to you because you can see it right about here. You can see how the storm is, see how those clouds are kind of moving off towards the northeast, this kind of dry air on the more so the western side of the system. That is that shear that's kind of moving across the area. Now, there is that front, you can see it right here, it's going to be kind of diving down, should be pushing through on Saturday. What that's going to be replaced is by a ridge here, and that should maybe help to bring in a little dry air. I'm not 100%, but what that'll do is this moves over towards the east. This system will go towards the west. Those are the steering winds because it'll help to kind of drive it in this general direction. But you see we got another trough digging back here. That's what's going to take this system and make it turn back towards the northeast by the time we move in early next week. So watch your futurecast here, and this is our in-house model. You can see it kind of floating northbound. We're starting to see some showers out there Saturday, especially for our coastal parishes, and then it kind of floats back towards the west as it hits that ridge, and then watch what happens. Again, this model kind of comes to an end. It's limited by late Sunday, but then it starts to make that turn back towards the northeast. You can see our European model. You can see some of those outer rain bands stretching well into Louisiana. This may be a very asymmetrical system kind of lopsided to one side, and you can see all those storms kind of extending well into the Gulf of Mexico. So again, kind of like what Sally was, we were worried about the heavy rainfall. This could definitely be one of those situations, and you can see how the European just drives it back through Louisiana, maybe even as a strong tropical storm, possible hurricane by the time we get to about Thursday of next week. So again, I don't really see it picking up steam until probably next week at this point. So what we need to watch, and obviously for the areas hit hard with Laura, was that heavy rainfall. Well, 2 to 4 right now for the next 7 days, but again, those numbers could quickly jump depending on how close the system actually gets, because as you saw, some of our models take that bend a little bit later versus sooner, and then our rain totals could quickly jump. But you can see in the central Gulf, maybe 10+ inches of rainfall for many locations, and those numbers could even go up depending on how slow the system is moving, because right now, again, it's moving at a very snail's pace. So a lot to really watch in the coming days, and I just want to show you here, again, we're currently in the peak of hurricane season, and we've got a lot of season left, which is very scary out there because, as you see here, we've already crossed off 3 more names today: Wilfred, Alpha, Beta. Notice Gamma, Delta, Epsilon, Zeta. That would be tying the record. Back in 2005, we know that was a very active year. We got to Zeta, but Zeta happened at the end of the year. Would you believe that? That happened on December 30th, right before the end of 2005, moving into 2006. Well, on average, that same year, when we hit Beta, that was October 26th. So think about that, right before Halloween. We're well ahead of schedule. We're 6 weeks ahead of schedule at this point, and we've got a couple more areas currently sitting out there in the Atlantic Basin already. So again, we're probably going to cross off quite a few more names as we continue to move forward. So the only thing you can really do right now is pay attention over the weekend, heading into early next week. A lot really is going to change with these forecast models out there. Again, because the uncertainty for track, the uncertainty for intensity, and basically even the timeline at this point, it's very high. So again, we know possible scenarios, but we don't have it kind of set in stone quite yet. So what you need to do is follow trusted sources, make sure you download our free app, and continue to watch our newscasts throughout the weekend and early next week for the very latest information. Thanks for joining us.